Oh, hey there folks, I'm Maggie Smith. And this is my drill sergeant, Deborah. Sorry, Dr. Deborah. And we are all what? Creatures of nature. Yes, welcome, welcome! Here we are. So we interrupt our series of skimming over some American history, some context, some lay of the land, some groundwork to how the we got here. We can then really embark with that much needed context to take the steps to uncovering what is human nature, the mysterious mystery. Good one, Shira, yeah. We interrupt our regular scheduled program briefly because I'm seeing this everywhere. Are you seeing this everywhere? I need to talk on it. I need to talk on it now. And we'll talk on it more later, I am sure. What has just been screaming at me is this is so human. This is the most understandable reaction ever. Why? Well, let's take a look.
Leaving MAGA has been trending on multiple platforms with people who previously supported Donald Trump starting to question that support.
It's devastating.
I have to take responsibility for my personal vote that enabled that. I have to say I wasn't paying attention. I should have been and I wasn't. There's a lot of reasons for that, but and I regret that, obviously now. Trying to take responsibility for that and own it publicly.
He voted for Donald Trump, she supported Donald Trump, and now she sits in an ICE detainment center.
The MAGA faithful are now standing in the cold, wondering why their wallets are empty and why the world suddenly hates us. Who could have seen this coming? Oh right, literally everyone with a functioning frontal lobe, a full-speed economic collapse, an international diplomacy dumpster fire, and a country so divided, even Thanksgiving dinner feels like a war zone.
Hi MAGA voters, how you doing? Just want to give your guy Trump a quick performance review. So far, he has cratered the economy with his approach to tariff, failed to end the conflict in Ukraine despite promising to do so in 24 hours, and inflation is at the same rate it was when Joe Biden left office because he lied to your face about inflation being high.
Meanwhile, our international allies are looking at us the way you'd look at a friend who insists their toxic ex has changed.
You knew what you were voting for, but what you didn't know was that it could happen to you, right? If it was women and minorities losing their jobs, their unions, their affordable medicine, their farms, their federal jobs, you would be, Trump is making America great again. You would be all for it, wouldn't you now?
Somebody, please explain to me, who raised these people?
They're huge Trump supporters. You didn't get the email on Monday, you're safe. And I'm like skipping down the halls, right? Like, you know, I get to stay. Wednesday, late afternoon, I received a notice that I have an appointment, a Teams appointment with my supervisor on Friday at 9 o'clock. So I knew that I wasn't safe anymore.
You were skipping down the hall. You were so excited when you thought you were safe. You knew others were suffering and gonna suffer, but you knew you were safe. You were cool with it.
Cutting costs and waste and fraud and. We love that big picture. I love that big picture. My friends, you know, we were excited about that.
Just laughing over others and how others are gonna get affected.
The common theme is, you know, we voted for this. You knew this was coming, but we didn't. Like, nobody that I've talked to understood the devastation that having this administration in office would do to our lives, but other people that we love and care about too within the Nevada Valley.
It's only when you're affected that you actually feel bad about something. You don't have any regrets for everyone else. It's that you got affected. You're despicable. You're disgusting. How does it feel?
It's hard. It's wrecking.
Good.
So this is the most human reaction, so understandable, and it's not acknowledging nuance, which again makes all the sense. So much sense, because how can you stop to look at the nuanced complexity of the situation while you're being robbed currently, you know, so to speak? You get what you give. You give cruelty, violate human rights, if you attack people's essential needs and their freedom, all of this to say the least, you know. So overwhelming, so many layers to this unfolding. All that to say, you know, I just wish there was more questioning.
I don't want to say I told you so. I want to know why. So I'm asking questions.
I mean, I'm very curious, naturally, in nature. And I am so curious as to what and where the line is for Trump voters. Aren't you? Or if you're a Trump voter, you're seeing this unfolding. I wonder, is there a way that we can engage respectfully? And would love to hear your thoughts. So yes, there's this echoing going on. Things like they don't care until it affects them directly. They being Trump voters. You want to specify when saying they, as using this language is dividing ourselves and each other. So Trump voters, they don't care until it affects them directly, which seems so simple, right? You know, only being concerned about oneself, but is there more to it? Are we given the capacity to care about more than ourselves? Do we really care about ourselves? Or are our brains that are wired to survive instinctually, is that instinct just on and taking us along, just kind of driving us forward without us actually truly and deeply caring for ourselves? We just keep pushing on autopilot, really based on instinct, not on basis of caring. Are we following that? Let me know. Speaking of survival, I want to share and try to bring as much attention as possible to this vitally important, cannot be emphasized enough how crucial this work is, life after hate. That's where healing can happen. It's not rude or mean or something to have this line where just be a Nazi and all that is not okay. It's just wrong. Just to clarify, the modern day Nazi, anyone who says that being a Nazi isn't wrong, alludes to, Nazi apologists. There are a lot of Trump voters who say Nazis are wrong. Of course, I thought we were on the same page. They are MAGA, but they are not Nazis. So they are the folks that I asking questions to respectfully and offering this genuine curiosity and interest in wanting to hear their story from their perspective. Trump voters who aren't Nazis. I wish so badly that we didn't even have to talk about Nazis and that wouldn't need this line. I wish. When seeing all these, hashtag FAFO, that's kind of fun to say, becoming a trend of not asking questions, but they around and found out. Another trend that people will just make video after video, as long as it's getting those clicks. I've clicked and I've viewed many FAFO video. At the same time, I was working on writing a piece for my Substack that are journal entries kind of in the summer when I biked from Ohio to DC for climate solutions, which I tried to vlog. These are the blogs of those vlogs. Going in deeper, sharing more of my experience in writing, and there are pictures. It's called He's Coming to Help Us. Night of day 5. One of the saddest things I could think of as a child was crying alone in the night and no one hearing it. No one coming to check on the crying child. It was about 6 p.m. when we arrived in West Newton, our stay for the night. My bones felt as heavy as a boat of tombs. I was ready to sink into sleep. West Newton was one of the stops on the Great Allegheny Passage, or the Gap, I had looked at online. When looking at pictures of the bikers stopping in West Newton at the trailside, a restaurant/bike shop, I imagined the place bustling with business. Turned out that the trailside was one of the only restaurants and there were no lines to wait in for food. I have Seattle's cityscape in my brain, so every place I saw in the Midwest seemed barren by comparison. In Seattle, there are always people around, surrounding us in a constant hum of human activity. In Midwest towns like West Newton, there were more moments of silence when I could hear my shallow breathing. As we approached our lodging, we passed deserted storefronts, blacked out windows, coated in rust, dirt, chain-locked doors, and broken glass. Then we biked past some of the residents of West Newton. In a blink, my eyes took in 2 women on a porch made of sunken, splintered old boards with a Trump flag hanging from the roof. They were shouting at a couple little kids, presumably their children, to get out of the street. Now I've established how I was aching all over and entirely beat after biking all day. I don't know what these 2 mothers had done all day, but clearly their exhaustion was greater than mine. The women's shouting sounded exasperated, ragged, like yelling is what they heard and were taught their entire lives. What did they think of me? Did they see themselves in me, even just a little bit? Were they wondering what I was thinking? Did someone just smoke in here? My dad and I wondered aloud. In our lodging for the night, the furniture was from a time long past, perhaps the 60s. It was clean but musty, like somehow all the windows didn't let much light in. Outside each window, there was a Trump sign staring at me. In Seattle, I never saw a Trump sign, only online, but it never showed what surrounded the sign. I thought of a lot of them being plastered on yachts and hanging in the windows of mansions, Trump's people, the few like him. But no, these loyal supporters must be getting a repayment of some kind, surely. Trump is going to flood our parched town with funding. The climate, the country, the crisis screamed in my mind, churned my stomach, taking jabs at my heart. You ever seen a dam about to break? And finally, I threw my head into my hands, sobbing. Droplets of salted grief seeped out of my eyes into the cigarette-scented air that brought me back to my teenage self and that tobacco taste in my mouth. That night, I had violent nightmares. Morning, day 6. I woke up sweaty. We were leaving West Newton, walking our bikes down the main street when I saw it. Of all the pictures I missed, this is the one that haunts me. Shira, stop! My legs wouldn't listen. They moved me forward towards the trail. It was etched in my mind forever. Help. Scrawled into the grime on a window of an abandoned store with a handprint next to it. And yes, it could have been a joke, a prank, or a scare made by some kids, and that wouldn't change the fact that I got choked up and it sent a chill down my spine in the summer heat. As my feet marched on against my conscious instruction, I could only see two things, one in each eye, a Trump sign and help written in that forsaken window. The reality is, their calls for help to him and everything he represents bring not a drop of help, not even if you were dying of thirst. Do everything by yourself. No help for America because we're the best, but all humans need help. I hear the echo of that help when I'm writing this at the beginning of March, as I'm watching so many people of America having their jobs taken away while having to pay more to live. When I think of West Newton now and the help needed, I think of dust, shuttered store doors, and no one coming to fix it up. It breaks my heavy heart. Make America great and save America, and he'll fix it. He'll fix it, right? Because he said he would. He promised us. He's coming to help us. At the end of each one of these posts, I have a finding of our unity that exists despite our polarization. Unity in our division. The human need for safety, the human need for help, and god damn it, we just want someone to fix it, but who? Thank you for joining us on this installment of Hey, What? I just really needed to speak on this at this point in time. A lot of things here that we touched on in this video that I really want to go deeper into. It's a lot for a YouTube video, it's a lot. Hence, trying to spread it out and chop it up into little more digestible pieces. There's a lot of overwhelming fear going on that I feel and everyone around me feels, not just now, but throughout human history. Completely incomprehensible, indescribable things. It feels impossible to wrap my head around. And it really is too much to look at all at once. I am trying to look at it in bits and pieces because, you know, there's that saying, the more you know, the less you fear. The unknown, that is so scary, and rightfully so. That's telling me to learn, to understand, ask questions. I got a lot of questions. Okay, that was a lot, so thank you so much. I would love to hear from you, and I just want to keep trying to do this better. You know, I gotta keep doing it to get better at it, so please like, comment, subscribe. Yes, it cringes me to say, but you know I cringe with love, darling. As always, much love to you, dear creatures of nature, and I hope you love you too. Bye!